Just had this great game playing against the Meek. He lost the dice roll. I'm up the top, so my hand's going to be displayed strangely this game. I'm not quite sure why it recorded like this. What I'm going to go ahead and do is just kind of put my hand up here just to avoid confusion. So he was using Xiao Dun, the One-Eyed, which is a pretty strong control-based commander, since it lets him regrowth black spells. And as always is using Sliver Queen, and I'll show you the deck list at the end of the game. So I get to go first. Yeah, this will be a little confusing with the way that hand is. And let off with the Expedition map. And I'm kind of going to advance through some of these early turns. So he's sealed. I was fairly worried that he just went and got Necropotence. Constantly a threat against mono black, or really anybody playing enough black to be able to run it. Let's try moving the hand down here, see if that makes it a little more clear. So we're going to open this up a bit. So I went for a shop, which allows me to ramp into Lantern, which turns the shop into one of the best lands ever printed, since it produces any color now as well. I suspect maybe he had just gone for Batterskull, so I went ahead and just said no to that. Oops. And here he is. So I'm going to go ahead and close this up. So anyway, my play was Shackles Go, so that I had a Cryptic ready. And he played a Winter Orb. I thought, probably just going to leave the Orb. It's not a big threat to me. And then he got down with Vault. In fact, my deck runs Orbs, so I thought maybe I could just use it to my advantage with a Sylvan fueling me and a shop powering out artifacts. So he, so here's the deal. At this point, he had one card in hand, and he leads off with a Mind Twist for 2 to protect it. So I had to kind of Cryptic in order to keep any cards in my hand, which was bad news because it would allow him to push through. The other thought was just to let it go. I figured I'd go ahead and just Cryptic and hope that I drew. So I sacked the land instead of tapping it for mana because I wanted to make sure that I had islands in play for Shackles. Normally I would tap it. Sorry, I'm getting spammed by my friends here. And you get done with Sorin. So immediately I'm at 10, completely negating the power of my Sylvan Library. Well, the primary power, which is being able to pay life. He basically made me discard 8 cards right there, because I would have been able to pay enough life to have drawn 8 additional cards. So at this point, I'm not able to really use the Soaring against him too well, because he's going to keep hammering me with Sorin, and of course he just drew that Mox. So he is out of gas, like he has no cards in his hand. But with his commander, he's able to use Imperial Seal. Now the good thing though is that he doesn't know I'm going to kill his orb here, so whatever he's sealing for is probably something he can cast under an orb. So I go ahead and just claim the orb right away. And really thought about Mysticaling for Vindicate and just getting rid of Sorin. But I decided that if I do that, I'll be completely out of gas. Barring something great on top of Sylvan. So instead I get Teachings. I'm afraid of whatever's on top of his deck. And if I have to Teachings in response to what he goes and get, then I'm going to have to I'm gonna need to counter it, basically. I'm gonna have to help him out with. It always helps to have a friend where you can bounce ideas off of He's helped me many times, but I'd like to finish this recording, hopefully, first. So he didn't get Necro, he got Liliana the Vess. Still pretty good. Good enough that I thought about... In a way, I thought about just letting it go. I mean, it's going to take, the Abyss and Terminus out of my hand. I don't need those cards right now, if ever. But then I just thought it gives him too much control, and I could use the mana and then replay the Mystical Teachings, borrowing the mana, draining mana. So that seemed like a better play. And since I had a fact on top, instead of replaying the teachings, I went ahead and facted. So here's the piles that he presented me with. And keep in mind I'm at 6, so I am going to have to take care of that Sorin, and I've used a mystical, so I'm not going to be able to mystical. I'm going to have to flash this back and go get Vampiric to kill Sorin, so I can't go down to 2. Anyway, so he makes a split like this, and I need that Dynamo, so I take this pile here. Take the 3 pile. Get down with the Thran to help make teachings playable. And perhaps I should have Vandal Blasted here, but I decided not to. So he hits me with Sorin and gets down with his commander. And this is why I said perhaps I should have Vandal Blast. If I would have taken down his Soul Ring, his Mox wouldn't have worked, and then his commander would have been unplayable there. So he goes and gets himself another Imperial Seal. Pretty wise. Again, threatening Necro. He didn't get it the first time, but he'd be pretty foolish not to have gotten it the second time, and he's not foolish. So I go get Vamp. So here's the problem. I have to Vampiric Tutor, and I have to find a way to stop Sorin, who's in play and is going to kill me once I Vamp down to 2. He can kill me next turn. But I also have to stop the top of his deck, because obviously if he gets a Necropotence out, this game is going to be basically over. So how do I do that? So I actually sat and thought so long that it gave me the error message, but he was very patient with me. And I went ahead and got myself a Yawgmoth's Will. So let's see what happens. A Will. Now see, if I had more time, I could leave that crumple and just crumple the Necro. But I don't. I don't have enough life to pay life to get that into my hand. So let's see. Do I have anything in the graveyard that lets me just like a top or something to draw a card? Brainstorm? Nothing. So let's see what I do. This turn took a long time to math out, because basically this is a big math problem. But here was the line of play I finally made. I got rid of the Soul Ring like I should have done last turn. Get my will down. Of course I killed the Soul Ring first because I want Vandal Blast in the graveyard. Play a land and a Crypt. And thank goodness for Lantern making these lands work without dealing damage to me, by the way. So I play a Crypt at 2 life, but the Crypt gives me 2 mana for the price of 1. And here's where Nature's Claim is amazing. Not only was I able to claim earlier in the game and cast my Mystical Teachings, but this turn I'm able to claim my Crypt and produce mana, and get myself out of lethal range. I've been really struggling trying to figure out what card goes in that last disenchant slot, because I know I have a disenchant slot, and I think Claim is probably going to be the one that sticks around. It's just too efficient, and it kills turn 1 Soul Rings. So I Vampiric myself down to 4, and then Cryptic in order to get Sorin into his hand and draw the card that I tutored for in her orb. Don't know if you saw that coming or not, but that was it. So now the problem is he's going to draw a Necro, he's going to untap a land, and an Opal that doesn't work. I don't think he has land in his hand, because the read I have is that he doesn't have land on his hand. He's got like removal or something. I think he would have played it. to try to help get to a point where he could untap Vault. So if he untaps, he's going to have 1/2 mana. He's going to have a Necro, a Sorin, and probably some kind of removal in his hand. So how do I deal with all that? So the answer is, boom. Go get the Mind Twist. Now he's got a handful of everything I want to die. And he knows it's going away, thanks to the Dynamo. And that's it. He gives up. So that was like an extremely math-oriented final victory, but a very satisfying one. And he was very gracious about it. And now if you'd like to check out the deck list, here it is. There's Claim taking up that disenchant slot. 2 different ways, you'll note, to kill a turn 1 Soul Ring. So I think that's a very powerful and important artifact in this format, and definitely worthy of multiple answers to it. I hope that you enjoyed that game, and we'll see you next time.